Welcome back. Our panel is here. We give the better introductions for Michael Gerson, former speechwriter for President George W. Bush, now a Washington Post columnist. Michael Eric Dyson of Georgetown University and an MSNBC contributor. Longtime Republican strategist Mary Madeline, a former advisor to Vice President Cheney and the first President Bush. And Eugene Robinson, Pulitzer Prize winning columnist for the Washington Post. All right, we got all your accolades out. Michael, let me start with you. You perhaps wrote the most provocative piece of the week of everybody at this table. Not to say that everybody here isn't provocative in their own ways. Right. And yours was addressed to the white community as a whole about this week. Explain.
Well, my point is that, look, and I understand white brothers and sisters have wrote me back, hey, you can't characterize all of us. Look, it's a trope. It's an approach. It's an understanding. But imagine what we feel when we're addressed as Black America. I was pleading, really, with white brothers and sisters to understand the difficulty, the circumstances that we confront, the extraordinary assault upon black life, the repudiation of any sense of civility when it comes to the interactions between police forces, which most African-American people regard with respect and authority, but whose authority has spilled over into terrorizing impulses and impacts upon African-American culture. And I wanted to talk about the vulnerability we feel. Even when you were interviewing Chief Bratton, a remarkable man to be sure, but he wanted to draw a false equivalence between talking to his son and Jay Johnson speaking to his son. Jay Johnson, unfortunately, hesitated to weigh in, and I understand. Chief Bratton more than happy to do so. There's not an equivalence between Chief Bratton speaking to his son because his son is not most likely to be brutalized by police authority or the misapplication of the law to vulnerable populations. And I wanted to express myself to that very America that I teach every day at Georgetown University.
I want to throw something out here. This was on Red State, mind you, Red State, a news and opinion site. Leon Wolf, and he writes this. The most important safety valve to prevent violence like we saw in Dallas last night is the belief that when officers do go off the rails, the legal system will punish them accordingly. If minority communities, and everyone else for that matter, believe that, then the resort to reprisal killings would be either non-existent or far less frequent.
Well, no, I mean, I saw that piece on Red State, and after my jaw came up off the floor, I was actually encouraged. I was encouraged by that. I was also encouraged by a somewhat lukewarm statement that came out from the National Rifle Association about the Minnesota shooting, which essentially questioned whether Philando Castile was killed for exercising a Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. And it is encouraging if there are conservatives who are kind of getting it, who are understanding this idea of equal protection. But I have to say, as Michael said, this is personal. I'm the father of two sons, right? And they are often guilty of, they're young black men, they're often guilty of driving while black, walking while black, standing while black, and so this is a very personal concern.
Mary, you were about to chime in.
You don't like to be lumped together. Conservatives don't like to be lumped together. And a lot of conservatives do get it, particularly conservatives that live in the majority cities. And I'm all about Leon Wolf. He's my go-to guy. And he's consistent in saying, if you read the whole column, the problem here is coming to the truth. It's not, and the truth is not all cops are racist, and the truth is not all cops are always right. The truth, as your former panelist said, and the statistics show, is somewhere in between. That's what Leon is saying, and that's what people of good faith believe. And if you live in New Orleans or any city like that, we have faced this, and we have reformed, and we have corrected it. But I want to go to your point, too. It is true that I'm, 63, okay, so I'm older than all you guys. I was raised to respect police officers. Black friends of mine whose parents were raised in the same era were taught to fear them because that was the legacy of police brutality and Jim Crow. So, of course, we have to understand that, but then in turn, and here's what we've done in New Orleans, black people, our African-American brothers and sisters and neighbors, understand that their first line of protection in those neighborhoods are the police.
Exactly. No one understands that more. Nobody understands that more than people who live in poor, private communities.
Exactly. Look at Philando Castile. He's announcing, his girlfriend is announcing, look, I have a gun. Let me tell you exactly what I have, as far as we know. And this is the case, and he's still, by obeying the law, Mary, lost his life. This is the very pulverizing and brutalizing vulnerability that we feel that we're trying to express to white Americans who love and appreciate justice. Do you understand how difficult that is?
I understand the fear, I understand the legacy, but do you honestly believe out of the 3 million interactions of police with people of all colors, there's one cop for every 266 humans, that every one of these instances that police go out and say, I'm going to brutalize a black man?
No.
Okay.
Well, then, it's the consequence. And you're making my point for me even better. It is an unconscious, if you will, inclination to see that black person differently. Prism to have greater fear. The police, the cop on the front line feels a kind of intensity that he does not feel. Let me give you an example. On the internet right now is a white guy going ham, crazy, beating up, striking out with a machete, and the white police allow him to leave the door of the establishment, and people say, blow the doors. And these are two cops who could have killed him. Do you think that an African-American person wielding a machete would have been granted that kind of civility? No.
Michael, here, come in here.
Yeah, I think we're discovering more broadly that our biggest need at this moment is empathy across our deepest divisions. That's what allows a diverse country, a multi-ethnic country, to be peaceful and unified. And empathy is most powerful, most effective when you apply it to your own, when you apply it to your own community. So it's powerful when Black Lives Matters empathizes with the role of police officers. It's powerful when people in the white community understand that minorities experience our justice system different than we do, and in ways that we would not tolerate. Right. And so I think that that's the biggest need right now.
I was just going to say,
and the cruelest irony of what happened last week is that sort of empathy was happening in Dallas, right?
Police departments.
Of all police departments, David Brown has done a fabulous job in Dallas. Complaints of excessive violence on the part of officers are down by 2/3 since he took over in 2010. Right. Police shootings went down from 23 in 2012 to 1 this year. So it can be done. And you saw the ease with which the protesters, the Black Lives Matter protesters, and the police coexisted until this lunatic went off.
And they were defending the right of those African-American people. I spoke for the Black Police League down in Dallas with Cletus Judge and Willie Ford and Jackie Lee, and those people are remarkable, but they understand. Let me tell you something you don't want to hear. As black police, they say, too, when I'm out of uniform, I have fear. When I am not involved directly and people can't identify me as a cop, I, too, have fear. Look at the young woman. Is it Nakia Jones, the woman who made the Facebook posting? Right. This is a real thing that we have to confront.
Professor, we got that point. I want to speak to Mike's point. And
I
know, I get it.
With justice.
Empathy with justice, but it starts with empathy. And justice is more frequently done than we're discussing. But let's talk about the aftermath of Baton Rouge. Both my daughters are there. James, my husband's entire family is there. That city came together, black and white, holding vigils, praying and singing and not erupting. That's where the rhetoric departs from the empathy that's lived on the ground.
I want to pause the conversation. We'll continue it. We have more time to continue it, but let me pause it because I got to sneak in a commercial break. When we come back, can a divided Washington heal a divided nation? I'm going to talk to